Another question which is very tricky, what I'm talking about. Now there is a discussion going on because of the productivity of our country. As you said, China is very much advanced and Vietnam is advanced because the number of hours they are working is more.
Don't get me started on that.
There is a discussion going on now.
Yes, there is.
90 hours working has to be enhanced per week. Yes, day before yesterday, I have seen a discussion on the television, I think Republic Channel. So what is your view on that? At least 10 hours working per person would be able to generate much more productivity in Indian culture so that the economy can be taken to the next level by 2027.
I mean, he has become a butt of ridicule. I mean, we've gone from discussing work-life balance to discussing work-wife balance. but that apart, I mean, the truth is that somebody else was joking the other day that, maybe the best solution for the country should be to arrange marriages between L&T people and Infosys people. And they can marry each other and ignore each other until retirement because they'll each be working 70 hours and 90 hours respectively. No, I mean, look, seriously, the number of hours is a completely irrelevant consideration. It's the productivity that matters in those hours. You know that Denmark is one of the most thriving, growing economies in the world, and they have a 34-hour work week. 34 hours is all they work. They don't even work 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. Now, I'm not saying that that's a model necessarily, the Scandinavian climate being what it is. I would also rather stay indoors in the heat. But I'm just saying the truth is that what we produce in those, whether we work 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, what we may do, what we produce in that time is far more important than the number of hours we work. And honestly, our productivity needs to be improved. And a lot of productivity improvements are possible through technology as well as through better skill development. I mean, I have been very frustrated on the skill development issue. When I was very briefly a minister in the education ministry, I actually had diagnosed this problem, made a number of speeches, explaining why this is not just an economic issue, but a national security imperative. We absolutely need to skill our unskilled and unemployed people. I've given some figures, I even mentioned them in earlier speeches, where the percentage of our labor force that is skilled is ridiculously low by comparison with any other economy, not just the developed countries, even by many developing country standards. We have very, very few skilled people. In fact, technically there is a shortage in this country of qualified masons. And that is why construction is going on everywhere, because every single Indian mason with a certificate is actually working in the Gulf and no longer working here. I mean, why is that so? We ought to have gone on a war footing to create a skill development capacity. I would have been in favor of a law obliging every company of a certain size to set up a skill training academy by law as part of their corporate responsibility and ensure that, yes, they can have the first dibs on those they produce out of that, but the rest will be going into the marketplace with equipped with certificates and they can then trade in for all of that. Right now, our skilling is pathetic, and without skills, you're constantly always stumbling on the job and your productivity is bound to be lower. That's across the board. Then the quality of our training, our ITIs are using hopelessly old-fashioned equipment and training workers. So when they go into the modern workplace, either they're using equipment they know, which is much less efficient than what the competition has, or they are suddenly faced with training in one kind of equipment and having to use other kinds of equipment. They don't do it very well and their productivity is also affected, etc., etc. We can give you example after example of this. And this government botched its first term, I'm sorry to say, on skill development. Then in the second term, they merged a number of ministries and departments, created one humongous skill development ministry with very little to show for it to the end of their second term. This has been an area where, honestly, there has been a lack of imagination, a lack of application, a lack of focus, and a lack of results. But honestly, if we do that, we can improve our productivity. But talking about 90 hours, 70 hours at a time when the entire world is moving towards greater work-life balance is foolish. Because honestly, we are increasingly heading, particularly in white-collar work, we are heading towards a world in which more and more white-collar workers will have leisure time or will find that the kinds of jobs they can do can be done better by machines or by AI programs. And therefore, either they have to learn new skills or they have more free time on their hands. So sitting around 90 hours doing what an AI machine can do in 2 hours is pointless also.